The Gauteng MEC for Community Safety, Faith Mazibuko, says it's time the focus shifted to men during the 16 Days of Activism Campaign. She was speaking at the launch of the campaign against gender-based violence. Our reporter, Sipha Kema, is covering the event and she joins us live. Sipha, a very interesting narrative and perspective that the MEC has brought up, saying that for all of these years we've been focusing on women, but now the focus needs to be on men. Did she go into details as to exactly how this should roll out?
Well, of course, Tami, as you've said, that she says now it's time for a change. And this is how this campaign will be different this time around this year, is that the focus will be on men. As you know, for the past years, 16 Days of Activism has always targeted women or victims or survivors, rather, of gender-based violence. But this time around, she says it's time to educate the man. Men need to educate other men so that they know that they are doing wrong. How she says this should be done is, she says, you know, of course, there's Ikaya Lethemba, but now instead of and placing them shelters that are known to be anonymous, such as Ikaya Lethemba, as a majority of the victims have run away from their husbands, and some of them are fear that their husbands or boyfriends are likely to kill them. She says that it's time to take the men and put them in these shelters, rehabilitate them. They should be rehabilitated by other men, and they should not leave until that they realize that what they have done is wrong, and that they can actually turn around their way of living and the way of thinking when it comes to women abuse and child abuse. Now, of course, today, besides the launch of the 16 Days of Activism, it was the launch of Ikaya Lethemba booklet, which was written by some of the gender-based violence survivors who went into Ikaya Lethemba, and they wrote about their experiences with gender-based violence and leaving their marriages, leaving their relationships, some even living with children. Some of them, of course, as we know from the Rhodes Park, Ujabu Mbata, who was sadly, tragically raped in a park when she went on a walk with her husband and another couple. Her husband and the other gentleman were then murdered while they were being raped. She's also lived in Ikaya Lethemba, and so they started the healing process up until she's able to emotional part of things. Some women have been abused financially, where the husband is the breadwinner and ends up neglecting the wife financially or threatening the wife financially. But now I do have a guest with me, Belinda Khatyana, who is actually one of the gender-based violence survivors and one of the authors of this book. Now, Belinda, we heard about your experiences. You told us that you've been emotionally, you've been mentally, physically, and financially abused by your ex-husband. Tell us about, you know, your process from leaving him and going into Ikaya Lethemba.
It was not easy. I was afraid. I was not sure. Am I going to make it in life without him supporting me and wanting to have that status so good? I'm married. You know, it was not easy. But then the women at Ikaya, they gave me strength. They encouraged me. They made me to find me, to be more motivated than before, that I would ever think, which I would ever be strong.
And now, of course, we know that this is not just about seeking refuge and shelter. It's about rebuilding your whole life again. Now, you've told us your story there on the podium, that now you got some qualifications, and now you're an entrepreneur. You're supplying food for a big fruit and vegetable company.
Yes. It's because I didn't limit myself. I took what they taught me at Ikaya, and then I ran with it. I grabbed it with both hands. I ran with it so we can make it. Yes.
And what can you say to women currently who are in the same position as you, who want to leave but are too scared to leave and feel as though they will not be able to get back on their feet?
Take chance. Be out there. I left without nothing. I just left. But I left the shelter with 2 wardrobes full of clothes. So don't be ashamed, Guti. Now I'm in the shelter. People will say I'm no longer me. You are now getting to know to be you now. it's good to live your life without fear, without saying, am I doing right to please him? Please you first.
Thank you so much, Belinda. You heard from Belinda herself. She did not limit herself. Instead, she took the opportunity that she was given. Now, tell me, I'm talking about someone who's actually a retail supplier, a big fruit and vegetable retail company, or rather a supermarket. She supplies them, so she managed to get on her 2 feet and become independent. Now, tell me, we'll also be going to Ikaya Letemba and speaking to some of the victims who are currently there, who've just started at 6 o'clock this evening.
Well, I must say, Sipha, the ladies at the back there are having a whale of a time, busy dancing and taking pictures. But as far as the attendance is concerned, they've stopped for now. But whether
Well, there were men present as well. These are men who are saying that they want to make a difference in society. These are men that say that they want to educate other men about gender-based violence and also to ensure that there's a time of change. I mean, as you know, that the MEC did say that this campaign is a focus on men. I mean, there was the activist and actor Patrick Shai here as well, coming to encourage the men who were here. Some of the men that were here are family members of victims and survivors of gender-based violence, but they saying that they feel it's their call as well to go to these men and start educating them, ensure that they rehabilitated before they sent back out into society. So actually the event was well attended equally by males and also by women as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sipha. We'll be touching base with you as you go and visit Ikaya Letemba a little bit later on. So enjoy the rest of the celebrations there as the launch of 16 Days of Activism begins. That's Sipha Kema.